So on the first one, you just put it in the calculator and you round it to 3 places because 1,000 has 3 zeros, so that means thousandths is 3 places, and it's 1.569. Remember to use the ln button, not the log button. In the second one, you give that 4 to everybody, so this would be ln of 3 to the 4th times 8 to the 20. And since it's times, you're expanding. Times goes to plus, so it would be 4 ln of 3 plus 20 ln of 8. The next one is minus, so minus turns to division, so you change it to 1 ln, and that 4 in the front turns into the exponent, so 3 to the 4th, and the second guy goes downstairs, 5 to the 8th. Remember, the guy in the front turns into the exponent of the number after the ln. For this one, you first subtract 5 from both sides, so you get e to the negative r minus 9 equals 61. And then you can do ln, and that's a base e, of 61 equals negative r minus 9. And you put ln of 61 in the calculator, and you get 4.110873864 equals negative r minus 9. And then we just add 9, we get 13.110873864 equals negative r, so we have to divide by negative 1, which just changes the sign, and they want it to 10,000, which is 4 places, so it's negative 13.1109. All of these are the same, and you use the reverse of PEMDAS to let things away. So the first thing you're going to do is get rid of that 9. So you have e to the negative 2.9k minus 9.8 equals 59 when you subtract 9 from both sides. Then you put it in ln, so the base is e of 59 equals the exponent 2.9k minus 9.8. And you find the ln of 59, and that is 4.077537444 equals negative 2.9k minus 9.8. And we add 9.8 to both sides, and we get 13.877537444 equals negative 2.9k. And we divide by negative 2.9, and then we round to 4 places. So it's going to be negative 4.7854. The next one is the same. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides, and we get 8 to the e to the 3a plus 7 equals 17. And then we divide by 8. And now we have ln of 17 over 8 equals 3a plus 7. And then we find the ln of 17 over 8, which is 0.75 something, 0.753777180024. And then we subtract 7, and we get negative 6.246228198, and then we divide by 3, and then we round to 2 places, so the final answer is a equals negative, that's a negative, people, negative 2.0821. Same here, we subtract 2.3 from 30, we get 27.7, and we divide by 5, so it's 20, so it's e to the 9r minus 5 equals 27.7 divided by 5. We do ln of 27.7 divided by 5 equals 9r minus 5, because you're putting it in logarithmic form. And then you find that ln, add 5, and divide by 9. So that gives you 1.711994501 equals 9r minus 5. Add 5 to both sides and you get 6.711. And then divide by 9 and you get 0.7458 when you round it. I don't round any number on my calculator until the very end. The rules for this is the same as the rules for log. You can use your formula sheets. So if the ln of this mess equals the ln of that mess, then this mess equals that mess. I always put the square on the left so that when I move everything over to the left, the r squared is positive. So I have r squared plus 9r minus 10 equals 0. And that would be r minus 1, r plus 10. So we would get that r equals 1 or negative 10, but then we have to put it into the equation. And when r equals 1, this would be negative 9 plus 1, which would be negative 8, so it can't be a 1. When it's negative 10, it does work, so that is the only answer we have here. Remember, they don't always work, so you have to plug them back in. Make sure they're not negative or 0 next to a log. Here's another one that you have to factor. If ln of this mess equals ln of that mess, and I always put the biggest n squared on the left, that means that this mess equals that mess. And when we move everything to the left, we get n squared plus 11n plus 28 equals 0. So n plus 7 and n plus 4 equals 0. What times what is 28? Added together is 11. That's 7 and 4. So your two answers would be negative 7 and negative 4. And when you plug those in, they both work. They don't give you any negatives next to the ln, because even though 11 times negative 7 is negative 77, when you put 3 times 49 in, you get a bigger number, so it's still going to be positive. So they both work. So those are your two answers. N equals both of those. The next one we have to round. So here you're going to get decimals, and you're just going to let the math take you there. You have a minus, so that means that it's 1 ln, and the first guy goes on the numerator, and the second guy goes in the denominator, because that's what the rule says. Negative goes to division, equals 3. And here, you know that ln has a base of e, and the exponent is the guy over to the right, equals x over x minus 2. So here you're going to get just ugly numbers. You're going to get that e cubed times x minus e cubed times 2 equals x. And so what we're going to do is just do the math and turn those into ugly decimals. So e cubed times x is 20.08553692 minus e cubed times 2, which is 40. Oh, and that's got an x on it. 40.17107.385 equals x. So I would move this x over here and make it a 19.08553692x equals that 40 number, 17107.385. And when you divide that by the 19 number, you should get 2.10. X equals 2.1048. Here's another negative, so it goes to division. So I'll change it to 1 ln before you can proceed, equals 3. That's another e to the 3 equals 4 over x minus 5. So you've got e to the 3 times x minus e to the 3 times 5 equals 4. And this one's a little easier because you're just going to leave the x alone. So when you add e to the 3 times 5 to the 4, you get 104. So you get e to the 3x equals 104.4276846. And then you divide it by e to the 3. That's a number. It's not a variable. And you should get the 5.1991. So That's your final answer. On the last one is another subtraction one. So we turned it into 1 log ln of 8 over 2x minus 2 equals 4. So we change it to logarithmic form or exponential form. We get e to the 4 equals 8 over 2x minus 2. And then you would have 2e to the 4 times x minus e to the 4 times 2 equals 8. And e to the 4 times 2 is a number. We add that to the 8. So e to the 4 times 2 is 109.196, and that would be a negative. So we're going to add that to the 8. And we get 2 to the e to the 4th x equals 117.1963001. And we divide that by 2. And then we divide that by e to the 4th. And we should get 1.07. So x equals 1.0733. Number 3 is yet another subtraction. So it's ln of 5 over 3x plus 2 equals 5. Then you change it to exponential. E to the 5th equals 5 over 3x plus 2. So you have e to the 5th times 3x plus 2 times e to the 5th equals 5. 2 times e to the 5th is a plain number, so we find out what that is. So you subtract that from 5 and you get that 3e to the 5x equals 291.8263182, because you're going to subtract that ugly number from the 5, and it's going to be a negative. And then you're going to divide by 3e to the 5 to get your final answer. So x is equal to negative 0.6554. The next one's a little easier. You got e to the negative 8v equals 56 when you add 10 to both sides. So this is ln of 56 equals negative 8v. You put in ln of 56 in your calculator and divide by negative 8, and you get that v equals negative 0.5032. Now they're getting a little easier. So e the 2x equals 53 halves. So ln of 53 halves equals 2x. ln of 53 halves is a number, and divide by 2, and you should get 1.6386. X equals 1.6386. So you key this in the calculator and then divide it by 2. And you should get this number right here. The next one, you add 10 to both sides. So we have 6e to the 7m equals 11. And then divide by 6. So we have e to the 7m equals 11 over 6. Just leave it as a fraction. You don't want any weird, ugly decimals. So then you have ln, that's a base e, of 11 over 6 equals the exponent. So you put a ln of 11 over 6 in your calculator and divide by 7, and you should get that m equals 0.0866. All of these word problems say the words compounded continuously. So you're going to go y equals pe to the rt. And then they're asking for different things. So the account balance one is the easiest. You just put in, she put 1,132, that's the initial balance. E is an E, and then the rate is 0.07 and times 16. And you just put that in your calculator and you should get the final balance. When you're keying in your calculator, make sure all of this is in parentheses if you have an old calculator. That's one mistake. And don't forget the E. That's the other mistake most people make. So your ending balance is $3,469.41. So your amount's gonna almost triple in that time frame. Jennifer invents 4842 in a retirement account with a fixed annual interest rate compounded continuously. After 18 years, this is how much she has. So it's the ending balance. There is the beginning balance, and then E. We don't know the rate, but we know that it's times 18. So now we're finding the rate. Remember, the rate is in the exponent, and whenever you're finding a variable in the exponent, you're going to need some logarithms, and since there's an E involved here, it's going to be a natural logarithm. So the first thing we're going to do is divide both sides by 4842. And we get that it's 1.716007848 equals e to the 18r. So we're going to put this in logarithmic. ln of 1.716007848 equals 18r. And we find the ln of that and divide by 18. And we get that the rate is 3%, or 0.03, which is 3%. Remember, this money doubled over 18 years, which isn't a good return. So you know that your money doubles every 10 years when it's at 7%. So you know it's going to be a smaller rate of return, a rate on this one. So she didn't have a really good interest rate on that. Kim invests $85.48 in a savings account with a fixed annual interest rate of 8% compounded continuously. How long will it take? So here they're asking for the time. Remember, each of these asks for something different. So ending balance is the first thing you put, equals the beginning balance, times e to the 0.08t, and they're looking for t, which is in the exponent, so you know you're going to need ln. So the first thing we're going to do is divide by 85.48, and you get 1.6160733935 equals 0.08t. So we're going to divide that by 0.08, and we get, I'm sorry, that's e to the 0.08t, so we have to put it in logarithmic form. So it's ln base e of 1.6160733935 equals 0.08t. So you have to find the logarithm of that number and divide by 0.08, and you get that the time equals 5.9999, so it's 6 years.